Hey everybody, thanks for listening to the El Toro's podcast, exclusively now on Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Here, let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on things like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can also make money from your podcast, which is always a plus, with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast right at your fingertips and in one place. I can't believe it took me this long to switch over to Anchor.fm, but I couldn't be happier now. So, get yourself started and download the free Anchor app now, or go to Anchor.fm to get started.
Citizens of the Capitol, you're tuned in to another Capitol Wrestling podcast with your hosts, Darnell Mitchell and Dustin Smothers. This week, Darnell and Dustin preview Capitol Wrestling's anniversary show next Saturday night in Hoboken, as well as talk Capitol Wrestling television featuring a match between Paul Jourdain and Chuck Wilde. Darnell also interviews Capitol Wrestling superstar Nyla Rose, who will be part of the Gauntlet Tag Team match at Anniversary, teaming with Rump Thumb. All this and more on another fantastic show. So without any further ado, let's start the show.
Citizens of the Capitol, rejoice! It is another edition of the Capitol Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, the Metal Mouth of Midwest Wrestling. It feels great to be back. My name is Dustin Smothers, and I am joined, as always, well, except when I'm not here. Thank you, everybody, for filling in for me. But I'm joined by the fabulous fashionista of Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn. Darnell Mitchell, baby. How's it going?
I'm doing great. Just remember, it's a crime time for you to be singing, so no thank you.
Awesome. Fair enough. I will take that. Darnell, I had a kind of a sabbatical here. I had to take care of some personal stuff, but all is well back here in the Midwest. But so much has happened out in the Capitol while I was away, Darnell. It's almost too much to keep up with, so pardon me if I'm a little bit behind here, but I think I've kept up as best I could. What a few weeks it's been as we roll on towards Anniversary on the 24th.
Yeah, it's been kind of incredible, and I keep forgetting, oh, wow, the show is next weekend. Like, time is just flying by. I'm really, really excited for the show. There's been a lot of developments since you've been here. I hope you've been watching This Week in Capitol Wrestling on Twitch and YouTube, the little thing that I host. I'll try to keep everyone up to date with what's going on in Capitol Wrestling.
Even on WrestleZone now.
Yeah, it's on WrestleZone, and it's so funny. That's recorded like literally by my friend who does custom suiting outside of our office, and then I yell at everyone in the office, "Be quiet." For 4 minutes. Awesome. And then run in there and like record it, usually in one take, and it just kind of keep people abreast about what's happening, because I feel like something new happens. We did a podcast, we record it every Tuesday night. It's usually out on Wednesday or Thursday, but I feel like every day something new is happening, and we can't keep up.
No, absolutely not. And I think before we dive in to some of the little tidbits here and there that we have, I think we should talk about Anniversary. As you mentioned, Darnell, it is next weekend, and that's March 24th, Saturday night at 7 p.m. at 301 Garden Street in Hoboken, New Jersey at the Capitol Auditorium. Tickets available at capitalanniversary.brownpapertickets.com. But Darnell, as you alerted me to before we started recording, if you bring 2 items for the Hoboken Shelter down to the Capitol Auditorium on Saturday night, you will get 50% off your ticket. Darnell, tell me more about this.
Yeah, it's a collaboration that Capitol Wrestling has with the Hoboken Shelter, always trying to give back to the community. Hoboken has been very good to us and very nice to us. So there's a bunch of stuff you can find it all on our Twitter at Capitol Wrestling. That is with an O, no G. I don't know why I love saying that. It's like OG. So food donations for anything from coffee, sugar, milk, cereal, juice, frozen meat, especially turkeys, hams, meatballs, to supply donations. That's paper, plastic, hot cold cups, napkins, hand sanitizer, even to toiletries donations, shampoos, toothbrushes, toothpaste, deodorant. Anything that you can bring is definitely appreciated. Anything you can bring can kind of give back to this community that has been nothing but supportive to us, and we want to make sure that we're showing our love and appreciation for Hoboken, New Jersey.
Absolutely. Hoboken right smack dab in the middle of the Capitol, and I encourage all the citizens of the Capitol, even if you've already purchased your ticket, I encourage you to bring a donation for the Hoboken Shelter this next Saturday night. Just sounds like a great thing to do, especially in a time in the world now where there's so much negativity in the air sometimes. It's good to give back and support a good cause like this. So I applaud the people behind the scenes at Capitol for orchestrating this and bringing the philanthropy into the professional wrestling scene.
Yeah, Matthew and Marcus are all about... they're all about respect. They're actually, God, I hate that their heads are probably so big from just them being good people and us doing nothing but praising them. But, they do a lot for their community, and they do a lot for the people that they love, and they do a lot for making sure that they can contribute to the world in whatever way they can. So thank you very much for them facilitating this amazing thing.
Absolutely. Well, Darnell, let's talk about Anniversary. It's coming up next Saturday night, as we mentioned. We've got a huge main event signed. Before I took my sabbatical, we were talking a lot about Matt McIntosh versus Sonny Kiss. This is a match everyone's been talking about. I think everyone is beyond stoked to see. Two very contrasting styles, two very contrasting entities. When you get Matt McIntosh, the Bad Apple, in there with the star of the Capitol, Sonny Kiss. You're a little closer to the situation here. What's the hype like out on the East Coast right now for this match?
I think people are super, super, super excited to see Sonny and Matt finally go one-on-one. Matt, who's had an incredible 2017, even though he wasn't very successful at Capitol Wrestling. I actually just saw him last week. He was the selling point for me for a wrestling show 4 blocks from my house, WrestlePro, and he wrestled an incredible talent named Talon, who I hope to one day see on Capitol Wrestling, because those two put on a hell of a match. But I think people are ready to see their styles clash, because their styles are very similar. They're very hard-hitting, but they're extremely athletic, and they're not scared to fly through the skies. I think people are going to be talking about this match for quite some time in Capitol Wrestling history, and I think it's the only match, honestly, for me, that could be the main event of their anniversary show.
Without a doubt. Other matches signed, we'll run through them, and then you can kind of fill us in on any new developments in regards to these matches, Darnell. We got Anthony Gangon versus Bo Crockett, Steve Scott versus Mick Drake, a tag team gauntlet for a future Capital Wrestling tag team title match. When a couple weeks ago, I knew Sex Craze would take on Danger Sanctuary, Nyla Rose, who we'll have on the show coming up in just a little bit, and Rump Thump, and they would also take on the Perfect Strangers. What I didn't know was that also added to this match, this gauntlet match, are Ryan Zane teaming with Vinny Pacifico. Ronnie Burton will be teaming with a mystery Black and Brave student representative.
Wait, sorry. Can we say that again? My husband, Ronnie Burton. Thank you.
The Rock God, Ronnie Burton. He'll be teaming with a mystery Black and Brave representative. And then this really excites me, Darnell, because there will also be another team of 2 hand-picked Black and Brave students to send out to this match. This is an amazing opportunity for a young up-and-comer here in the Midwest to get an opportunity on the East Coast, in the tri-state area, where the lights shine brightest, baby. This is huge. Yeah. This is huge.
And I just told you that. Like, I just dropped that spoiler for you. It's incredible. Actually, like, we're here. We're queer. Oh, I am. Who would you like to see as a potential person for Black and Brave? I would love to see Travis, DJ Energy, come to
JT Energy.
What did I just say?
DJ. Well, because he's DJ Click and Play when he's not in the middle of a 20x20 ring. Then he's JT Energy.
Oh my God, he is so, like, I called him Travis. Did I call him?
Yeah, he's got a lot of aliases, folks. But no, JT Energy, the tag team partner of Joss C. Vicious and Delicious. JT would be a great person to come out. But I guess I'm curious, like, the Black and Brave representative with Ronnie Burton will probably be an established guy, but I'm curious if these 2 Black and Brave representatives that are mysteries may be a little more unpolished. There's a lot of young guys out here. Robin Steele comes to mind right now. Travis Titan, who we've seen in the Capitol back at World War IV in that Black and Brave showcase match. Honestly, hell, I'd like to see Valentina Loca maybe get this opportunity.
I love Valentina Loca. She's amazing.
Absolutely. She's the Southwest Spitfire, man. She is 5'1", I believe, maybe 3. I could be wrong. Somewhere 5'1" to 5'3" of just piss and vinegar, man, and she will punch you in the jaw. Like, I love her. She's fantastic. So I'd love to see a surprise like that, a complete swerve, and have it be Valentina Loca, maybe a mixed tag of some sort. Like, there's so many options. There's so many great students and recent graduates from the Black and Brave. Hell, what about our girl Gigi? Even she could even be on the table. You never know, man.
Yeah, the Midwest is just producing talent after talent after talent after talent. So the sky's the limit. It really is.
Yeah, Seth Rollins is doing something right out here with Merrick Brave, that's for sure. I think the only other match, Darnell, that I saw that was added while I was away was Juba and the Friends of Tom versus the Apostles of Chaos in a 6-man war. Which just is a great way to kind of round out this card that will also see people like Darius Carter, the Master of Excellence, Jason Karloff, and just recently announced Magnum CK will all be on the show. And hopefully as we get a little bit closer to the actual show, we may get some more match announcements later this week or next week even. And so obviously next week we'll have a full preview of Anniversary, but a lot to get excited about.
Absolutely. I'm really, really excited for that 6-man tag team match. I hope they reinforce the ring because I can't wait to see Jeff Cannonball and Logan Black get their hands on each other one more time. It's going to be really, really exciting. This card is just looking fantastic.
Up and down, you can't deny that, and that's why everything is cool and better in the Capitol, because these matches just continue to blow us away, blow the fans away. The citizens of Capitol are always entertained. Make sure you're at Anniversary at the Capitol Auditorium on March 24th. But Darnell, that's not the only crazy announcement that we have this week. You mentioned to me that there is a Capitol graphic novel?
Yay! So we're actually there's actually going to be the first bit of the graphic novel will be at the Capitol Wrestling Show. You actually can meet the creators of the graphic novel, get it signed. It's called To Be the Man, Evil Ain't Good. I'm really, really excited to see the work. The artwork looks great. You can see it on Twitter. We'll probably retweet it from the PW Mothership account if you follow that account as well, and I'll retweet it on my own personal Twitter. But that's one thing that's kind of Capital Wrestling kind of has everything. You have the Sapphire TV Championship. You have strippers, comic books, and wrestling.
And rock music sometimes, even like you've got this. It's just a crazy, like, melting pot of all entertainment.
I know Mike Pence probably hates it.
I don't think it's probably. I think Mike Pence his eyes probably catch fire when he sets his sights on Capitol Television. Okay, I gotta ask you, Darnell. This week on the Capitol Wrestling Show, the actual television program proper, which you can see every Monday night at what time, Darnell?
At 7:05. That's on twitch.tv/Capitol Wrestling.
I know you probably talked about it as well, but you can also see it on television now in New York as
well. They are on, what is it, Fios, RCN. It's at 11 o'clock. It's really, really cool. It's mainly a lot of channels located out in the Queens area. Lord knows I love my Queens. So
yes, Queen.
It's another example of, again, how much Capitol is expanding, seemingly by the day. It's kind of incredible. I mean, even not only just the TV, like you were saying earlier, like we're now on WrestleZone, which is kind of crazy.
Absolutely. I mean, you got that and the Matt Men's Podcast Network, where the television show also airs throughout the week. Obviously, the connection with us in Pro Wrestling Mothership and the Pro Wrestling Iowa Network. It's just everybody wants to be a part of the Capitol, and I think that's kind of the key here. Capitol Television this week, though, we did have a great match, a Haas fight, as we were talking about as we headed into Masterclass last month. We saw the Glorious Bastard, Matthew Ryan Shapiro's ace in the hole, Paul Jourdain, take on the Extreme Redneck, Chuck Payne, who was coming for revenge, Darnell.
Yeah, Matthew's not a nice person.
Not when he gets in front of the camera, or when he gets out, into the wrestling arena. It's like two different people sometimes, It's crazy how awesome he can be, but absolutely just kind of a scummy piece of shit sometimes.
No, I love that you didn't try to even slightly sugarcoat.
Well, I mean, but here's what we're talking about: is Chuck Payne's brother had to retire due to head injuries, partly caused by Matthew Ryan Shapiro hitting him with a chair. There's bruising on his brain. Guy can't compete anymore. Chuck Payne's coming for revenge. He wants to take out Matthew's golden boy, Paul Jourdain. Unfortunately, he didn't get the job done on this episode of Capitol Wrestling Television, Darnell.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate. Chuck is also someone, he's obviously been on the Capitol for a bit, and I haven't seen much of him. And that was really my first introduction to him. And as you can see, again, I was there in the front row and was so in awe of him as a wrestler. He did kind of remind me a little bit of Baron Corbin, the good parts of Baron Corbin.
Okay, I was gonna say, man, that is not a good.
As in, like, a guy who was still a very large man, a very tall man, a very strong man, but extremely quick. I think the Extreme Redneck put on a hell of a contest. I think it might be the first time I was cheering for a redneck.
Well, and probably the first time a redneck was happy you were cheering for them. Now, here's the thing: is like he did put up a valiant effort, and I was rooting for him too, because who doesn't like revenge? Everybody wants to see somebody get revenge on somebody, whether it's get revenge on your boss, get revenge on your ex, get revenge on your mortal enemy. And in this case, Chuck Payne's mortal enemy was Paul Jourdain on that fateful Saturday night. And unfortunately, he came up short, and you got to wonder what that does psychologically to a guy.
Yeah, you gotta wonder where he's going to go from here. What is he going to do? Is it still a want to avenge his brother? Is it still a want to destroy the bastards, or is he going to try to kind of find his own path and and go to a different side. You know, what does a situation like this do to a man?
It's hard to say. It really is, because it's a very traumatizing situation, I think, to be in. That one I could never even understand. Wanting to avenge a family member, like, for something that heinous, for something that cost your family member their livelihood. I'd be curious. I'd be very curious to see if we see him at Anniversary or when we see him again in the Capitol.
Yeah, I think Paul Jordan he's a guy who doesn't really get his comeuppance very often. Because he's a talented guy.
Well, he's got the right guy behind him, too. I mean, say what we will about Matthew Ryan Shapiro, he is a pretty good businessman. And he's also always happens to kind of have that one ace up the sleeve. You never really understand why he always gets one over on everybody. But I have a feeling that soon something's probably coming from Matthew.
Spoiler alert, I'm going to kick his cane out.
Oh, that is so mean. That is so mean. He'll probably grab you by the suspenders on his way down, though.
That's
pull you
true.
Down with him.
Spoiler alert, I won't wear suspenders.
There you go. Obviously, it was a great match. If you didn't see it, you should definitely go to YouTube right now or check it out if it's on the Twitch stream or wherever you get your Capitol content. Make sure you check out this past week's episode. A fantastic match between Jourdain and Payne. But after the match, we did get a promo from Eric Royal letting us know that next week we will see that amazing Capitol Wrestling Heavyweight Championship match between Eric Royal and the bald bastard Ken Dixon. True story. I should probably tell you about this. I contacted Ken to get an interview for the podcast. Guy is not nice, Darnell.
True story. And I don't know if I told you this. I also contacted him. He was nicer towards me.
Yeah. He pretty much told me to blank is blank. Pretty much. Like, I was like, all right, man. Apparently somebody lost his hoodie, and he's not happy about it. Whoever behind the scenes, whoever was backstage and took his hoodie, you cost us an interview.
Yeah, I think he was just really nice to me because he knew that I was really big and strong underneath my pink suit.
There you go.
That's what I'm going to tell myself.
Well, he is, all joking and aside, Ken Dixon is not somebody to mess around with. Next week on Capitol Television, Eric Royal has a hell of a challenge for himself. And Darnell, you saw the match. I did too. We watched the live Twitch stream. You were there live. It was a fantastic bout and one I think the citizens of Capitol are going to really enjoy.
Absolutely. It was nice to see Eric making his debut, I believe, in the Capitol. But that's a hell of a debut to go against the undisputed or indisputed champion of Capitol Wrestling.
Reigning, defending. Okay, before we go to the Nyla Rose interview, I got to ask you, what's going on? And see, this was something that wasn't on the Twitch stream. I'm completely clueless on what's going on with this hot dog. Can you explain any of this to me?
What do you mean? You mean Hot Dog Starks?
Yeah, what is going on? Explain this hot dog situation to me.
He's just amazing. I don't really know what there is to explain. He's a guy who wears a hot dog suit and has an accompanying hot dog doll, I guess you could say. He's just there to bring happiness towards everyone in the audience. He wrestled the who did he wrestle? The abdominal. I can't say that word if my life depended on me.
The
CPA.
The CPA, the accountant.
Yes. He wrestled him on the show. Actually, if you I know you're following us on Twitter, people, but you have to see. He reads from his burn book, a la Mean Girls on Twitter. It's really funny, so please check that out. But yeah, the hot dog is amazing. I just want to be his manager named Relish. And just shimmy down to the ring, because that would be amazing.
There you go. Book it, guys. Book it. Hot dog and relish. Darnell, before we go to the Nyla Rose interview, obviously she will be a part of the big gauntlet match, teaming with Thump. What can you tell us about Nyla Rose before we hear this interview?
Nyla Rose ain't nobody to mess with. She's incredible, and I always was naturally drawn to her when I saw her at the Capitol. And she is, and, I mentioned it in the podcast, and I mentioned it, if you follow me on Twitter, or if you follow me on Facebook, everyone knows I'm opinionated, but she is an example of true representation for wrestling going forward. And she has a great little story, and she's a great person, and she's hilarious. She's really, really funny. So I love it when you sort of meet these people. It kind of like reminds me of like Big E almost, like when you meet someone and they're kind of like larger than life, and they're the goofiest person in the world, and I love that. So she's an absolute doll, an absolute sweetheart.
That's awesome. Well, let's go ahead and throw it over to that interview. And then afterwards, we'll be back to sign out for the week and let you guys get back to your Capitol lives.
Citizens of the Capitol, it is I, your fabulous fashionista of Brooklyn, New York, and I am here with a very, very special guest. I'm here with the one and only Nyla Rose.
Oh, come on. You had like such an amazing intro and like nickname, and I'm just like, and Nyla Rose.
I am here with the most fabulous, amazing, beautiful, mocha latte skin wrestler around in Nyla Rose.
Well, damn, I don't know if I can live up to that now. I regret opening my mouth. Oh my God, can you introduce me like for anything I ever do ever?
Absolutely. At the next Capitol Wrestling show, when you guys come out for the tag team gauntlet, I'm going to put my fur coat on and I'm going to sashay out. Just eating nachos.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Thank you. It is a pleasure to be here. It is not a pleasure to be awake already because I have had a hell of a weekend.
Well,
but it is.
What was your weekend? Tell us about your weekend. Ooh, we want to know.
So a few people out there know, and I think I see my producer walking across the parking lot now. This is kind of funny. I'm talking about this. A lot of times, wrestlers go actor and they get into acting after having done wrestling. I am one of the few people, I believe, who is actor go wrestler. So this past weekend, I did an interactive theatrical experience because it wasn't quite a play. It was something very different. But it was a hell of a blast. And it was just really high energy. And it was only for, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But we did 2 shows on Saturday. So I was drained, and then daylight savings time kicked everyone's ass. It came in there like Braun Strowman and just like wreaked havoc on the public. So I think everyone's recovering, but yeah, and I'm getting over being sick. I don't know if you can hear that in my voice, but
I thought you were just doing a Lindsay Lohan kind of moment.
There's a little bit of that. But yeah, so that's kind of what my life has been like.
That's amazing that you came from acting into wrestling. So was wrestling something that you were watching as a kid, and it was a natural transition because you were in theatrics?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I grew up watching it. I grew up as a fan, and it's one of those things like something you could never dream is actually attainable. Because like, first of all, how in the hell do you even go about getting into wrestling, right? Mm-hmm. And then the second part of it is like all these people are so much larger than life. Like, there's no way that these are real people that actually exist in public. So I just never thought it was something that could be true until some point in college. I found a wrestling school that wasn't too far from home, and it was like, oh, snap, like, maybe this could be a thing. All right, let's go. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. And here we are still.
That's amazing. So when you were younger, what wrestling companies did you watch? Were you WWE or?
Yeah. I'll admit I watched all the main ones because I don't know how the fans break down nowadays, but back in my day, if you either liked indie wrestling or you liked Japan wrestling or you liked WWE, and under that umbrella. WWE, ECW, WCW, or I should say WWF at the time. Mm-hmm. But those were kind of like the 3 main factions, if you will, of wrestling fans. And then obviously it breaks down further from there because my friend of mine, he preferred WCW over WWE any day of the week. but yeah, like I just grew up on WWE. I didn't even know there was a thing such as independent wrestling. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know it existed. And then later in life, you know, like probably, you know, in high school, just around college time, I kind of discovered, oh my God, I've been missing out on so much wrestling. Like there's been wrestling close to my house and I haven't seen it. Like what is life?
It's very funny that you say that. It's I was in a conversation with someone on Twitter about tape trading, and they were talking about like streaming, and I was like, well, you know, I get it that you get mad that someone might go to their friend's house and watch something that's streamed, but like back in the day, that's how you figured out about everything was just tape trading. One person bought the tape, only one person, and they gave it to all their friends.
It's absolutely. It's a little annoying because, you know, that's how our medium has changed and evolved. But there, like you said, there's a direct parallel to the past. Like everybody gets mad at, you know, somebody buys a download and they share it with all their friends. Well, back in the day, you would buy the one cassette and then you'd hold the other boombox up to the boombox and hit record. You know, like, I can't tell you how many mixtapes I made from the stereo because I stole my mom's stereo and I'm recording directly off the radio. So there are parallels to the past, just things are a little different now.
Exactly. You know, I was introduced into like Ring of Honor, and I didn't even know there was such thing as Japanese wrestling until I was like 20. You know, that's only 12 years ago.
Right?
It's crazy. People forget oh so quickly. When you were younger, you said you kind of like was more into the main promotions, just like I. Like, who were the people who really kind of sealed the deal for you for your love for wrestling?
Who sealed the deal? I would say was the Undertaker, large and by far. I'm just a creepy person naturally, I guess. It's in my blood. So when I saw this giant creepy man come out, like I was like sold. I don't even know what he's about to do. I want to be here for it. I'm down. Get some popcorn. Let's do this.
Did you ever actually go to shows when you were younger?
He did, but like in a good way.
Yeah. So Undertaker is also one of my. He's the first person I remember too, because I was like, "What the fuck am I watching?" Whatever this is, I need to get involved. Which is great. So how'd you come to meet Matthew? Where you're from originally?
I'm from Alexandria, Virginia.
You are? I'm from Virginia.
Well, originally I'm from Washington D.C. Like I was born in Washington Hospital Center, so that DMV, that mumbo cess runs in my blood. But we moved out to the suburbs, as it were, after elementary and middle school. I went to Harriet Tubman Elementary School. Go Tubman Toads! If any of you guys are listening, if you guys are still the Toads, I don't even know.
Wait. The mascot name was what?
The Tubman Toads.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's very interesting. It's very, very interesting. Which I like to make people uncomfortable. So when they say, "What was your elementary school mascot?" I say, "A slave." And they're like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, I went to Harriet Tubman Elementary School. It was a slave." And then they don't know how to reply to me.
That's the best. I love... God, people are going to get so mad as I say this, but I love making white people uncomfortable. So I always make the joke first, and then I'm just like, no, it is funny. You can laugh. It's
yeah,
okay.
exactly. It's like, we need a little bit more laughter in this world, and some things are okay to laugh at.
Yeah, just go for it. Go for it, Chad. It's all right. I'm from Norfolk, Virginia, actually.
Right, I have family down that way. Right on.
Oh, Navy, I'm sure.
Some.
Largest naval base, but it even coincides with what you were saying earlier when you became older and you realized how much wrestling was in your area. There wrestling that goes on at my former high school. Like, why did this not happen when I was 14 in high school?
Right, or maybe it did and you just weren't aware, because I know I was not aware at all.
Yeah. So then you moved up to... Wait, do you live in New York City now, or...?
No, Alexandria, Virginia.
No, you live in Alexandria now, still?
Yes.
Okay. And then, so how'd you come to meet the one and only Marcus Dowling and Matthew Ryan Shapiro?
I met Matthew Ryan through Marcus Dowling. I met Marcus earlier when I mentioned the wrestling school that I went to, Kaida Pro Wrestling, down in Manassas, Virginia. That's how I met Marcus King Kong Dowling. I don't know if you want to bring that up, but I met the King Kong, and I thought he was he was so captivating with that personality, and we kind of became loose friends. But exchanged pleasantries and everything. He was always nice to me. I wouldn't say he's a nice guy backstage to everybody. No, that's not true. His character wasn't.
Was it a Mariah Carey I don't know her moment?
Yeah, I'm not gonna blow kayfabe, but his character wasn't very pleasant. But he always was a very nice guy. And with the advent of Facebook, friendships, relationships evolve, and we got a little bit closer. We got to know each other a lot better. And here we are now. Now I'm his employee.
So what did he say when he told you about Capital Wrestling? I interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, and we're like, this is gonna be good.
He didn't tell me much, and I will admit I did. I was a bit assumptivatory. That's a word. We're gonna go with that.
Oh, what does that mean?
No, I just made it up. So I'll give you a minute. He said, hey, I'm doing a wrestling thing. I was like, sold, I'm there. So he didn't get very much of the words out of his mouth. He goes, it's called Capital Wrestling. My dumb ass goes, Capital Wrestling? We're near the Capitol. We're both residents of DC. He's doing wrestling in DC. This is going to be awesome. I'm so there. Put me down. Little did I know that it's going to be all the way in Jersey. So now every show I want to choke him just a little bit. But it was my fault for making an assumption.
Hoboken is great, though. I've never been to Hoboken until I went to... That's why I was like, Matthew, you better... Trust me, I fucking love you, because I'm going to fucking Jersey for you.
Yeah, the parking is kind of snot, but the city, like everything, it's like baby New York. I like it. I really dig it.
Yeah, and the food's not that good, but there's a bunch of bars. It's easy. One of the things when I first went to my first Capital Wrestling show, I believe the first show I went to was in October, was realizing that it was the personification of wrestling that I personally really enjoyed. As in, it wasn't a bunch of, and I always feel like people get mad when I say this, but it wasn't a bunch of guys in tights.
Right.
You can wear tights, it's fine, but I need a larger than life personality to go with it.
Right.
And I think they kind of captured the essence of old school wrestling, with everyone kind of serving a purpose and having a realized character. Would you...
You hit the nail on the head. I really cannot add anything to that. Like, that is probably the perfect description and the perfect emotions and feeling that it invokes. Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head with that.
Oh my god, I'm so good. So you came into Capital Wrestling. Did you have an idea as to, is your wrestling persona in Capital pretty much what you were doing elsewhere?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not used to having the reins, as it were. So Marcus and Matthew seem like they trust me a bit, and they just kind of say, hey, we need you to do this. Have fun. And I'm like, I need more direction. No, you're good. You're good. Run with it. So what you're getting is probably the realest Nyla Rose out there.
You also had, our listeners here, they probably, they're subscribed to Twitch, twitch.tv/Capital Wrestling. Gotta get my money. But you have probably my favorite promo I've ever heard so far in Capital Wrestling. And it's a backstage segment with you talking to Rum Thumb and you scaring him, water goes in his face, you're like, ooh, you're really sweaty.
He was like nervous or something. I don't understand it. I don't know why that happened.
Like something like that is all you.
Yeah, like I said, I have a twisted, weird, just like off the wall, zany sense of humor. And they were like, hey, I actually was running a little bit late for that show. I had another show. We did double shot, and I come in, they like grab me and say, Nyla, we got to shoot some promos. We got to shoot your stuff. So I was like, all right, what are we doing? They're like, we're filming in this corner. You're talking to Rump Thump. Go.
That's such a Marcus thing.
And they just pointed the cameras at me, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go.
How did you and Rump Up actually come together? Because I missed a lot of the earlier episodes of Capital Wrestling. So was that just a natural thing? Did you guys kind of come in together as a team? Or?
Yeah, we met through Capital. We met there, and you know, like I said, everything you're seeing is probably the truest wrestling. We just meshed. We just really clicked. Rump Thump is amazing. I love him. He's so good. And, we really just gelled. Like, I don't even know what to say about it, you know? Like, you just meet those people and you're like, yeah, this person, I'm here for it.
Yeah, there's a clear, undeniable, natural chemistry between you two. And I think it permeates really, really well on screen, and I think it does so in the ring. And you're also, he's never going to listen to this. He's supposed to be in the podcast, but I'm also, like, obsessed with Ronnie Burton. He's so pretty.
Yes. If I could agree, yes.
It's really annoying. I'm like, oh my god, stop being so statuesque. Hey, get out of the scene.
Very well put together.
Annoying. So you guys are actually going to be at the next Capital Wrestling show. That's March 24th, 301 Garden Street. I don't think I've ever actually met you.
No.
You've probably seen me in the crowd wearing a suit. So I'm going to make a conscious effort to actually introduce myself. But you are in the tag team gauntlet match. It's so far, I believe, you guys have been announced. Sex Craze has been announced. Vinny Pacifico and Ryan Zane have been announced. Damn you, Ryan Zane. And the
yeah,
Perfect
for sure.
Strangers, I believe. What's your kind of how are you getting prepared for a match like that, like a gauntlet match? You could be going for 5-6 matches.
Yeah, honestly, there's no real way to prepare, you know, all in all. The biggest truth that I think I've ever heard is nothing prepares you for pro wrestling like pro wrestling. My old coach said that, and getting into wrestling and, you know, having to take time off for this and that and then coming back, you can hit the gym all you want. You can, you know, do all these crazy workouts all you want, but nothing prepares you for wrestling like wrestling. So I'm not going to give away all my tricks because I don't want anybody, you know, using those against me. Mm-hmm. But there is a lot of tape watching. There is a lot of tape training. Aside from that, I really don't, personally, I don't like to cloud my mind with what may or may not be. So I don't really want to concern myself with who all is in the tournament and this and that, because if I'm too prepared and I'm too focused on one thing, I'm going to miss something in my peripheral vision. Mm-hmm. And I try to apply that same logic to my life, but I am, and I gotta try to let this go a little bit. I am still a little pissed off at the Danger Sanctuary and all their dumbass antics, Ryan Zane and all them. So whether or not they make it to us, I've got a boot for an ass at that show.
Yes, I hope you super kick Timmy Danger right in the face and take away his crappy robe.
Yeah. You definitely want to tune in because it's about to get real.
Ooh. Yes. You were talking about how, you know, you said, you know, nothing prepares you for wrestling than actual professional wrestling. It's something that I always speak about on interviews, and I don't care if people get annoyed by it. But Capital Wrestling sort of inclusion for everybody. I talk about Sunny Kiss a lot, me being a member of the LGBTQ plus community, which is like the hardest thing to say really quickly. But you are actually a trans woman.
That's right. Yep.
Beautiful caramel macchiato. How was that in the wrestling business? Because I just from the outside looking in, I feel that probably 15 years ago, it would have been not the best experience. And I think we've gotten a little bit further along than then. But did you have a lot of issues with that, like, in terms of bookings or all that goodness?
You know, if so, it's been it's been interesting. It's been very interesting. It's been all pleasant,
Oh.
at least on a surface level, I can say. Um, and what I mean by that is any issues that have maybe arisen with that. No one's had the balls to say anything to my face. Um, I do believe there have been a few instances where people may have been a little like, ugh, and not wanted to kind of touch that or not wanted to book me or, for some reason I'm just mysteriously not booked or not needed anymore. And I think it may have been because of that, but I have no proof,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I get it. It's a new thing for a lot of people and they just don't know how to wrap their head around it. And they may not know how to approach it or whatever, especially when I try to get bookings in Maryland,
Oh.
because they are the Maryland Athletic Commission are very strict about who can interact with who, and I think there are a few companies, I will not name them, but I, for my life, can't get a straight reason why I can't get booked with them. And it strikes me as very odd when companies who have never worked with me, and mind you, I've worked with these companies on some level before, but companies that have never worked with me, few people who have heard of me, but never really seen me, companies literally across the world are taking chances on me, but a company 20 minutes from my home just doesn't have anything for me. And I'm like, really? Because your roster is looking a little thin. Like, you're 20 minutes from my house. I'm not even asking for, like, transportation or, like, that much to come in. So what's the holdup? And I think it's truly because they just don't want to open that can of worms with the athletic commission. At least I'd like to believe it's that and not something else,
Mhm.
because that would be super shitty, you
Yeah.
know?
And so it becomes a question of even like, with other people, they're like, oh, well, we want to book for a woman, but we just don't know how to book them. I'm like, well, you book men.
Right.
It's the exact
Right.
same
And
thing.
the kicker, the super kicker, ha ha ha, if you will, is the fact that I have worked in Maryland and I wrestle women because I'm legally, that's a word. I'm legally recognized by the government as a female. Like, I'm on hormones. My gender markers are changed. All of my documentation says I'm legally a female. So, dealing personally with the athletic commission, from my point of view, they're like, yeah, that's cool. You're a female, whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, not to insinuate for any wrestler behind, in the locker room that might have an issue with it. Stuff like that, it's also just kind of blows my mind because I'm like, you do realize I don't understand what would be quote unquote weird about it because you're like wrestling with other men and you're both oily and your balls are in your face.
Right. Like I said, it's a new thing for a lot of people, despite how, like, far back this goes. Some people just live in their personal bubble so hardcore. They're like agoraphobes to anything outside of their little personal bubble. So on that level, I get it. Excuse me, but I'm like, can't you just, for 2 seconds acknowledge that there are other people in the world who may be a little bit different from you, and that is okay.
Yes, I always say one of my least favorite words in the world is normal because I don't know what that is because
Right.
there is no definition of it, especially in wrestling. Wrestling is, I always say wrestling is the gayest thing in the world. But but then wrestling is it's such a buffet. Like there's so many different things going on that I don't understand when people don't want to take a chance and do something new and do something interesting. Um, Actually, you said something, and I'm curious. Do you have a preference to wrestling women or men?
I Largely and by far, I don't have a preference. And I never wanted my transness to be a part of my character.
Mm-hmm.
I was always worried on a personal level, I was always worried that if I was constantly booked against men, how are these people seeing me?
Mm-hmm.
But at this point in my career, I don't have a problem. I'll wrestle whoever, whenever. I'll wrestle a goddamn bear if you book it.
Matthew, did you hear that? Matthew? Okay.
I'll be not like in the gay community a bear. I mean like an actual bear.
I was like, then you could just wrestle Roddy Burton. Perfect.
Yeah. But yeah, this stage, like I've been shown such respect for who I am, and that like that fear has been squashed, I guess you could say.
That's great. I always think it's very important for diversity and representation. So, you are, which is such a sappy thing to say. I think you're probably more of an inspiration than you realize you are. So like what you're bringing to wrestling, is fantastic.
Thank you.
It really
Thank
is. And your hair is always laid.
No, now I know you're lying. I like one drop of sweat on my entrance and it's like poof. Like, are you kidding me? It's laid backstage. If you come meet me before the show, I will take pictures with you. I'll be so happy because they'll turn out good.
And then afterwards, you're like, no, you better get that filter on. Like,
that's right.
Get that Sophia.
I'm just gonna start bringing a wig for strictly for pictures, like the after the match pictures.
That actually sounds like a great idea, and I wish more people did that.
I said it as a joke, but now I'm like, that I might be onto something.
It's another business opportunity for you. So 2018. Before we go, what are your expectations for 2018? What do you want to accomplish in 2018 besides getting a lace front that doesn't poof after a match?
More. I want to achieve more. Like the song says, more. Like, that's all I want. More of everything that's been happening. I've been so blessed this past year. Starting the year before, I got signed to Marvelous in Japan.
Ooh.
So I want more of that. I want to tour more of the world. I want to hit England. I want to do Australia. I want to get to Canada, Mexico. Like, I want more traveling. I want to get Capital Wrestling where it needs to be seen. I want people to see more Capital Wrestling. I really believe in this promotion. I wouldn't stick around if I didn't. I want to do other things. I want my television show, The Switch. Like, I want to do a season 2. I want more of that to be shown to the world. And if you're curious about it now that I said it, you can check it out on iTunes and Amazon. I'm pretty sure you can search Nyla Rose and it'll pop up, but it's also called The Switch. It's a sitcom starring yours truly. I just want more of everything for everyone. The good stuff.
The good stuff, yeah.
The good stuff.
Oh, look. No, I just Googled The Switch. It's like, hey, that's you. I know you. That's awesome. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast. And I cannot wait to see you on March 24th. 301 Garden Street, Capital Wrestling Anniversary. You're tremendous, and you're a joy to talk to. So,
thank you.
Yeah. Is there anywhere that we can... so we know The Switch on Amazon and iTunes. Is there any other way people can get in contact with you? Merch, Twitter, all that goodness?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm having issues with my whole merch situation right now, but if you send me a message on the Twitter sphere, I will figure something out. We'll hook you up.
What's wrong with your merch?
I tried to open a store and it wasn't working, and then I couldn't get the payment thing to work, and then I got frustrated and I went and played BioShock, and then I got distracted. I beat BioShock, and then I went and bought BioShock 2 and didn't get back to the merch store. So
that literally sounds like my life. I'm just gonna play Uncharted, damn it. So I'm sorry I interrupted you. Your merch and your Twitter.
No. Yeah, Twitter. Hit me up on Twitter. I think Native Nye in the I almost said the letter 8. I I swear I graduated high school, you guys. The letter N, the number 8, native N8V, Nye on Twitter. Obviously, my name, Nyla Rose. Google me, send me a message through whatever pops up. I'm Native Beast on Instagram. Get me some followers. I need that blue check mark. Just to make my soul feel good. I don't know if do you get like a discount at Popeyes? Like, how does that? I don't know what happens.
Yeah, you get 6 biscuits for free every month. And they give you a cup of water afterwards too.
Let's do it.
Thank you so much for joining us, Nyla, and we will see you at the Capitol on March 24th. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Well, Darnell, that was a great interview, man. It was very insightful. I learned a lot about Nyla.
Yeah, she's really, really cool. I learned, I had a good time, like, talking to her. Again, it's also one of the things I always say is that, like, I think it's better to just have a natural conversation and you kind of, figure things out. I didn't know she was trans, and I didn't know she was a perfect, shining light of representation of that in wrestling. And I hope to see more of it. I hope to hear about it more. And I hope to see her more, to be honest. Come on, Marilyn, get it together. She should be booked. Get it together.
All right. Well, with that, Darnell, I don't think there's anything else we need to inform the citizens of the Capitol about, unless I'm mistaken. What's your Twitter information?
My Twitter is @DNellicious. So follow me.
Yeah, absolutely. Your Instagram, you have to give that out.
Oh, yeah, @Slay_Wyatt.
Best name in the game. You can find me on Twitter @Smohawk, same on Instagram. Make sure you're following our account, the PW Mothership. That's the Pro Wrestling Mothership on Twitter, @PW Mothership, as I said. But do me a favor as well, like if you're interested in what's going on in the Midwest and you're interested about more Black and Brave information, follow us on Twitter @ProWrestlingIA. That is the Pro Wrestling Iowa Network. We've got a lot of great content covering a lot of the great promotions here in Iowa and the Midwest as well. And we'll also be covering in depth the WrestleMania road on the Mothership as well. So lots of content that me and Darnell and me and some of my other associates are going to be producing. But I look forward to being back here next Wednesday, Darnell, as we prepare for Anniversary.
Yes, I cannot wait for that preview show, and I cannot wait to be there live next Saturday. Hopefully, my custom-made suit will be done in time so that I can counteract with Steven's amazing gold jacket that he plans on wearing. So, yay.
All right, citizens of the Capitol, you've been informed. I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next week.